A very happy new calendar, in brackets, year to you. No, a very happy new year. It's sort of mizzling out there. I don't know if you can see the tiny little droplets of rain. It's caught between a mizzle and a drizzle, I think. So I'm not going to take the camera out there because you know what happens. Get those little droplets on the screen and I walk around then in a little bit of a haze, literally. I just come to the end of the... oh, excuse me. I need to have my cup. I've just made a cup of... it's sort of chicory coffee. It's not real coffee, it's chicory stuff. So I'm going to have a taste of that. The birds are singing. It's very mild. The shed over there is beckoning to me, but I'm ignoring it. And I decided to make a little video here because there's something I want to say about something that's been happening recently. So I'm going to sit down. Jack, you can just move back because you're a bit wet. He says, oh, come on, Mum. No, you're wet. Go, no, go and sit down. Over recent days, I say days, might even be the past few weeks, I've had a feeling that's been increasing more and more. And you know me, I always pay heed to whatever I'm feeling. It's, how can I describe it? If I was writing about it, I would say that there's something stirring in the firmament. That there's something about to happen. And this is to do with me personally. It's like there's someone from my past, or maybe someone that I haven't seen for a very long time is beginning to think about me. And I'm picking up on that. Now, this kind of a notion may seem a bit alien to you, but believe you me, in my world, this is a real feeling, and it normally comes to something. And I say normally because it doesn't stir ahead in my head when it does. I find over the course of my life I've tuned in very easily. When I was a very small child, I tuned in all the time. It was as though I was just in the moment all the time, and I was seeing a bigger picture and other people couldn't see it. Well, to this day it may come as no surprise to you that many of us see the bigger picture, but most of us don't. And oftentimes we wonder why other people just don't get it. And of course, as you grow up, society almost forces you to use the rational side of your brain. The left side of your brain. Rational. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All the time you have to make sense of things. But you can only make sense of things in the framework you've been given. And if the framework that you've been given as a child is a very small, restrictive and constricting framework, then your world is very small. Because you've got to make sense of all those feelings, which are very right-brained. You've got to compact them in to a very tiny world. I do believe that this is why so many artists, you know, like Van Gogh, end up going mad. because they're seeing the bigger picture, they're refusing to comply, and society around them sees them as being weird. And oftentimes the physical way in which they react comes across as weird. But that's at the extreme end of the spectrum. That's at the human consciousness which is kicking up its heels and refusing to comply. Now, those of you who live in the UK or from the UK may remember during the 70s a series on television written by, directed by and starring Patrick Mcgoohan, and it was called The Prisoner. When I first watched that made perfect sense to me. And the ending, do you remember the ending? When he was in this space which seemed normal, and it was actually an articulated truck driving down the M1. That made sense to me. I couldn't articulate how it made sense, but it did. I think Patrick Mcgoohan was a seer. Without a doubt, he was a seer. And the culture that I come from here in Ireland, a seer is as normal a person as you'd find. A seer is someone who sees. Like William Blake, he was a seer. In fact, if you want a fantastic example of a seer, you look at William Blake's artwork. You study his poetry and writings. And just do it in a cursory way, just for an hour. Go online and have a look at all of his stuff. And that guy, that guy was right back in the 18th century. The latter part of the 1700s. No, I think it was the middle part of the 1700s. But anyway, so over recent days, this is what I've woken up to each day. I've woken up to this. This person is in my head. And the reason why he's in my head is because I'm in his head at the moment. Though I'm not deliberately there, but he's thinking of me. And I'm picking up on it. So it's very interesting. So on this new, well, it's not a New Year's Day for me, because, you know, New Year's Day is the 1st of November for me. It's the first day of winter. But of course, this is the new calendar year. So this is the first day of 2019. And you see straight away, the majority of people in the Western world are visualizing 2019. January, February, March, April, so on. Because that's the construct that they are living within. That's the framework that they're living within. I've never lived within that framework. I've had to comply or be seen to comply because of living and working in the Western world. But deep within my psyche, I'm not there. I mean, last night I was just sat watching a DVD I found, Wives and Daughters. Absolutely lovely, and I watched that, and by the time I'd finished watching it, it was well gone midnight. I made a pot of tea and I went to bed. But also, many people have been speaking about the Great Awakening over the past decade or so. that we're going into the age of Aquarius and that we're leaving the age of Pisces. And of course all this is very true, because within the ancient psyche, we are children of the cosmos. We're not children of governed time, human governed time. We're children of the cosmos and all that's out there. And don't forget, this little speck called Mother Earth is so tiny. You travel out just a short distance and you can't even see her. She's hidden within the cosmos. So we're governed by all that. And there is indeed a great awakening. And think about it. I'm able to sit here and talk about what it is that I'm experiencing. And many of you are connecting with that on a very deep level. And many of you cannot articulate what it is I've just passed to you, this feeling that I've passed to you, but you know it to be true. So I wish you all the most wonderful and powerful and meaningful blessings to you where you are in time.